I fell in love with my brother-in-law and unintentionally made him divorce his wife. I've been madly in love with my brother-in-law for 5 years now, and although I've always hid it from him, I think he always knew. One night, while me and him were cleaning up after a party, he professed his love for me and told me to stop pretending I don't love him too. As soon as he said that, my brain short-circuited as I tried processing this. Eventually, I told him he was just drunk and he needed to go to bed because I wasn't about to physically cheat on my husband. However, I cried for weeks afterwards, and when my husband saw that I was sad, he was very concerned and was so nice to me, and it made me cry even more. The guilt was so physically painful, I developed ulcers. This happened last summer, and ever since I've tried to avoid seeing my sister-in-law and brother-in-law. Soon my husband was irritated with me because of this, accusing me of not liking his sister or her husband. My sister-in-law called a few times to wonder why I'm not showing up and visiting them as frequently. Now she has started saying that I wanted to come between her and her brother because I never liked their closeness. So what I did to combat this is go to the dinners and ignore my brother-in-law altogether. Well, this didn't satisfy my sister-in-law, and so she started thinking I hate them. This was truly eating me alive, and I spent many nights silently crying and looking at myself in the mirror like a monster. But then, luck struck me, and my husband got a new job offer in a city that's 20 hours away. I want him to take it, but it's in a very small town, and he is surprised that I, a renowned city girl, want to move to a small town. I don't know what to do. I want my husband to take this job, but I don't know how to convince him. Brother-in-law texted me begging not to do it, and he promised not to bother me again, but just not to move away. That doesn't sit well with me. Update. I had a talk again with my husband about the job in the little town. I told him that I wanted the new adventure, especially when it came with a 25% increase in his salary and a higher up position. My husband has been complaining about how he isn't advancing in his career in our city. I told him that this could be the step he needed. I'm a nurse, and I could easily find jobs anywhere we went because we have a shortage in healthcare staff everywhere. The idea started to grow on him. He was skeptical because of the distance to our families, but he was intrigued. He booked a jobs interview that is supposed to happen on Wednesday. If he took the job, we would be relocating around New Year. I was so hopeful that I could finally breathe. Today is Sunday, and it was, per usual, the day we meet up with family for dinner. This didn't happen this week, however, and I'm spending the Sunday alone. My husband is staying with sister-in-law because earlier this week, brother-in-law broke the news to her that he wanted a divorce. Sister-in-law is beside herself with shock, and my husband is there to try and mediate between her and her husband. Brother-in-law is refusing to talk to any of them, and has only been there twice to see the kids. My husband told me now that he couldn't take this job because he needed to stay here and support his sister. I understand where he is coming from, but for me, all the horror and anxiety is back. I can't tell my husband my true reasons. I have tried so many times, but I just can't do it. I love him so much, and I know him very well. He will be hurt and devastated. Update 2. When my husband told me he was not taking the job up north because of sister-in-law's marital problems, I understood that and was supportive. We have always been close to my sister-in-law, and my husband loves his sister and her children. I always admired their bond because I was never this close to my family. He stopped spending weekends with me and instead stayed with sister-in-law and the children, and even several days a week when he doesn't even text me after work that he was spending the evening with the children. I didn't mind it because this is all new, and sister-in-law isn't coping well after the separation. I told my husband that I missed him though, and that I wanted to be with him, and maybe I should tag along some days. He said that I was being selfish for wanting the attention now. His sister needed the support, I should be more understanding. She and brother-in-law have been together since they were very young, and she wasn't adjusting well with these new changes. I felt horrible and so selfish. I thought that I should be supportive. Every Christmas on Boxing Day, my husband and I travel to somewhere warm and spend 2 to 3 weeks. It has been our tradition since we met. We booked this trip months early, April. Yesterday when I was talking about our trip, my husband was so surprised. He said that he was actually astonished that I thought that we would just go on with our plans when sister-in-law's life is turned upside down. I told him that this was our thing, and that his sister has her own family. I wanted my family, him. I told him that I fully understood that she needs his support, but that I've been very lonely lately. He told me to drop the subject. Today I chatted with the traveling agency to see if I could add my sister-in-law and her children. I thought that maybe it would be a good change of climate. Well, they would have to take a separate flight, but other than that, it was possible even with such short notice to add them. So I called my husband to tell him the news. He was very excited. When he came home later, he told me that his sister didn't agree, however, so we are staying. I asked him why, and he said that she didn't want to be around happy couples right now. I did all I could do to hold back my tears. When my husband got that job offer in the small town up north, I started browsing job opportunities, and I sent my CV around. One hospital answered me a week ago. I think I want to take the job. After what happened today, I just logged in and made an appointment for a job interview. I know that my sister-in-law is hurting and that my husband is admirable for being there for her. This is all just so new for everyone and a big life change for sister-in-law and her children, but I feel like I'm number in my own life. I feel neglected and like I have the supporting role in my own movie. I'm leaving my husband, I'm taking the new job, and I will go with the plans and move to that small town and get away from everything and everyone. I think I need this new start. Judge me all you want. I know you will. Update 3. I did a lot of thinking about this entire thing. I tried speaking to my husband once about it. I brought it up over the last little while few times in passing, but tried to have a very serious just once. It was late at night and I told him to please listen to me and not interrupt. In fairness, he did that. And so I opened up to him about how him doing all of this for his sister and dancing around her so much until he literally does not care that he is neglecting me is making me feel that I honestly feel very much behind her on his priority list and that I should never have to feel like that as a wife. I still didn't tell him about the brother-in-law situation, however, as I'm actually pleased to report that I have lost a lot of the feelings that I had for him. I guess I indirectly blamed him from taking my husband away by leaving his wife, but whatever it was, my feeling have significantly decreased. Anyway, after explaining how I felt to my husband, he gave me a hug. I thought I was getting somewhere, but then he let go and he told me that he understands. but his sister is his sister, and I have to accept that he will be there for her as much as she needs it, no matter how it makes me feel. That made me feel like crap. I love him, but I can't do it anymore. And so I spoke to him again before he went to his sister. I told him in one last-ditch attempt that he has known for months now that I'm unhappy and that I wanted to leave this city. I told him that I couldn't do it anymore, and I apologized that I chose this very inconvenient time when his sister is suffering, but that I couldn't do it anymore. He looked at me and was silent, and the disappointment in his eyes just broke me. He said that he couldn't believe that I have no compassion whatsoever when a family member is suffering, and yet I still want to go about my life as usual. Would the world end if we skipped our tradition once when he is needed somewhere else? I started crying because I couldn't reach out to him, and yes, if simplified, he is in the right. This looks like me sulking about a trip. I told him that I couldn't do this anymore. We are talking past each other, and none of us wants to understand the other. He left. He texted me now that he never thought of me to be selfish, and that I should do what I see fit. He will not stand in my way. I don't know if he will be coming back. Update 4. I have moved away and got a job in the new town. The hospital offers rooms for rent for nurses, something I'm considering looking into. They usually offer this opportunity when they need people to start right away, and me accepting this without hesitation made me understand how done I am with everything with my life here. I'd rather live in a small room, maybe even share it with another nurse rather than staying here. I literally feel like the walls are closing in on me here and I can't breathe. Maybe I can buy my own place eventually. Now the prices has gone down. I have told my family about my decision. I have never been close to them, and I don't think they understand my decision, but I hope in time they do, when they see that I'm happier. My friend, who I've been living with the majority of these past weeks, is more understanding. My husband didn't talk to me the first weeks after I moved out. I think it's because he's been busy with sister-in-law, but also because of anger and hurt. He called me the day before Christmas Eve, however. He was feeling lonely because sister-in-law and the children found a last-minute trip to Egypt with sister-in-law's best friend and her children. They're coming home before school starts again. I told him to come for Christmas dinner with my family. It was a bit confusing for my parents that he was there after I said I was separating, but I just couldn't let him be alone. He asked me if I could move back home and wait with the move until he is ready so we both could move. Also, we should go on our annual trip because it was a waste throwing 8K away. I told him that I had given away the trip to my friend who took me in these past few weeks. He admitted that we had problems and that we needed help. I felt like he was genuinely sad and desperate to make it work between us, but to be honest, I don't think I want that anymore. I feel like that ship has sailed. At least I need to be alone for a while before deciding if I wanted to be married to him anymore. I told him that I wanted separation and work from there. He was crying the whole time, and so was I, but I stood by my decision. He texted me later that he's always loved me. I'm the love of his life, and that he will do anything to make me happy again, even if it meant letting me go. I feel excited for the new chapter, but there's a lot of pain in my heart at the same time. I love my husband, and I'm so scared that I'm making a big mistake. Update 5. I love my new town. I have noticed that my health is improving rapidly. I'm not losing hair as much, and I haven't lost any weight either. My ulcers are still a big nuisance, but I'm getting treatment. My husband and I have decided for separation. I have adamantly refused that he moved here with me, and he was very angry at first, but he knew that now I could just stop talking to him completely if he is being disrespectful or trying to pressure me in any way, so he is trying not to upset me. I know it in my heart's heart that I don't want to be with him anymore. I miss him, yes, and it breaks my heart that he is hurt, but I feel so much more freedom and happiness that I haven't in years that could cry when I think of how much better off I'm now. I told him the truth, but he still insists that trial separation is a good start. I don't know. I dream about sex and how much I have missed it. Only now I realize how much I need it in my life. However, one thing I will say that is extremely annoying is that I once again developed feelings for my brother-in-law, and I have once again started fantasizing about him a lot, but I'm so relieved that he is so far away. Out of sight, out of mind, or that's at least what I'm hoping for. He called me a week after I moved here, wished me Happy New Year, and said he was sorry that my marriage was ending. He apologized if he had any part in it. I denied it. More lies, but I have decided to bury this whole thing down in my heart. My heart is nobody's business but mine, and these feelings are my innermost private feelings that nobody is entitled to. He was so kind and gentle, however, and I cried during the whole phone call and even more afterwards. He seemed to be more optimistic, happy about his future too. On that phone call, he talked more than I ever heard him talk in all these years I've known him combined, and there was something else in his voice that I couldn't put my finger on, but that gave me happiness. He never brought up his confession or his apology afterwards. Probably he didn't want to make things awkward, and I'm thankful for that. Update 6. My husband visited me once, unannounced, and I didn't appreciate it, to be honest. He stayed the whole weekend. He had a falling out with his sister because she was angry that he insinuated that she was the reason her husband left her. I totally disagree with my husband. Nobody is the reason why somebody leaves. Life is hard enough as it is without us blaming each other for why it is this hard. People fall out of love, and it is no specific person's fault. But anyway, sister-in-law doesn't speak to my husband now. I felt so sorry for him, but I know they love each other and will reconcile. As for us, I realized that waiting for my husband to come to terms with our separation wasn't ideal. I have made more progress than him because he is still in the "we can work through this" phase. I told him that I wasn't going back to him, and still he thought all I needed is time. I told him that I was filing for divorce and he didn't take me seriously. I signed and sent him the papers. This was last Monday. He has not contacted me yet, but I received notification that he got the papers. He can drag the divorce for a couple of years tops if he refuses to sign. When he was here visiting, I realized that I didn't have any romantic feelings nor attraction to him anymore. Maybe I haven't had in years really, but I still love him more than any human on this earth. Does this make any sense? Do you feel this way? I saved this for last, but I have been talking on Hinge to someone. I am not looking for anything serious serious. I don't want to be in a relationship for a very long time. This man is also in a somewhat similar situation, newly separated and isn't looking. I met him on Wednesday and we didn't even make it to dinner. It felt so weird, but God, it was so amazing. I'm meeting him this weekend, all weekend. I don't want to do anything but have intimacy.